So this is part 4, and in parts 1 to 3, I discussed reasons why females, especially in the USA, would want your God-given spouse, and why they want my God-given spouse. Okay. So, I'm just gonna discuss some things that they will do or some things that will happen to you when they want your God-given spouse. So I already discussed in parts 1 and 2, you're talking to your God-given spouse, you're on a dating level, but before God, you two are a marital pair, and then all of a sudden this female shows up and desires your God-given spouse, creating a love triangle. And wizards who want adultery would create that, right? And some of the reasons why some people, some pastors would follow the wizard's thoughts is because they lack knowledge, or they're like believing whatever the wizards are telling them on their devices to show respect of person, pretty much treat certain individuals like James 2. This one sit here while you sit here because you look tattered, or you look poor or something like that, or you don't have much. So respect of person goes on, partiality goes on. That's another reason why they would want someone to have your God-given spouse. So they will mess with communication. As you've seen, or many of you, if you have seen other videos that I posted, how the wizard on the devices who is against me but pro Simona, pro Christopher Delgado being with other women and not being with me, his God-given spouse, whatever devices they placed in me when I was an infant in the NICU unit, they'll start trying to override my communication with these devices. So they'll mess with communication, they'll edit your videos, they'll do another Facebook that looks like your Facebook and pretending that you're pro adultery when you're not. They probably send emails and making people believe it's you that's sending the email and it's not you. They would want to influence you to do certain things or say certain things, like they're bullying you via their devices that they place in you, which is witchcraft. They want you to separate from your personality or your will or your love for God and receive what they have to say. So that's witchcraft. What else? They'll put you in adultery, because when Christopher Delgado was off with Simona, after he said, I love you, but I can't be with you. But the day before, he was French kissing me passionately, insisting to come over and basically express himself in that way towards me, which I didn't know he had all of that inside of him concerning me. And French kissing me and passionately saying, I love you repeatedly. And I had to open my eyes to basically see, like, is this Christopher? And basically it was him, and his eyes were closed while he was doing it. And basically we were doing that for some time, long story short, and then I stopped him from kissing me because I didn't want him to go back to work late, because he just started this job and I didn't want him to lose his job. So I stopped him from doing that. And but if I didn't, he would just keep going on and on and on. And if females see that, like these adulterers, whoremongers, and people who feel like they can compete with you to steal your man and all that kind of stuff, they see that on hidden surveillance wherever it was, in the house or wherever, or they hear you, um, they will want that, right? Because it looks good, it sounds good, they will want that for themselves. So that's another reason why they would want your God-given spouse, right? Um, uh, what else? Um, so when he was off with her in adultery, then all of a sudden, this person who was adulterous but hid his um, current marriage from me for quite some time, and said to me initially, I've been trying to catch you. And I thought he was some youth minister wanting me to be in ministry, but no, there was another agenda that he had, and it was pretty much to put me in adultery. And then another thing, they would basically, he he was sent. He was sent, or somebody knew that, I would possibly go back to Christopher Delgado, because that's pretty much, um, they noticed that once we had probably an argument. It's not probably, but we had an argument in December 2016, stopped talking for about 1 to 2 weeks, but then we reconciled and things went back even more, and then we got closer than before. Um, so that's what they'll do. Like if he was off in fornication and adultery with Simona, they'll send somebody to put you in adultery. Also, another tactic is this. In 2018, what I understood or found out is that he was with her for about 1 to 2 years back then. And basically, in 2018, especially in November of 2018, I started to experience like pressure in my body. Like now I know it was like a wizard pressing remotely on whatever devices they placed in me, but it was like to weigh me down. And so I didn't feel to get up and go to work. I just didn't feel well in my body. And so I went to Hawaii. And there was a time in Hawaii where after a period of time, I didn't have anywhere to go. And I prayed and cried while I was sitting like outside of the hotel. And then I had faith. And I got up, and there was this man sitting outside. He was smoking his cigarette, and he was across the street. And I went to him, and I asked him if I could stay with him and his or whatever. And then he said to speak to his wife. And his wife was working at a supermarket. And I took note of the picture. I think when I saw, I don't know if I went inside and I saw the picture of his wife when he was talking to me or whatever it was. So when I went to his wife, right, I spoke to her, and she was fine with it because I was able to identify her, right? So God was with me. So they took me in, and I think one Sunday or the following Sunday, they took me to this church where they were praying in tongues, and it was a church. I don't know what type of church it was, but they believed in Jesus, right? Like an evangelical, like Pentecostal type of church to some degree. And they had their way of doing their service and everything. So, but before that happened? I think before that happened, all of a sudden it's like I won't say certain things, but he never respected. You see this wizard? Let me skip that. So basically, they'll start doing certain things on the devices because the wizards are trying to mess with the communication. Then I'm in Hawaii, right? And then God brought me into this family. The person who allowed me to come in, and the family that allowed me to come in, they never abused me. That's what I want to say. He respected me, never abused me. But I would say that the wizard or whoever is wanted like to put me in adultery again. That's what I would say. And I was like, no, that I was never with that. And I would never want to do that to any to a husband and a wife. Anyway, when they don't want 2019, when I came back to New York City, what they'll do is the adversaries, they'll work behind the scenes, and somebody lied on me, and for the first time, um, uh, because they lied on me, I was suspended from the New York City DOE, right? And yeah, basically they were saying like I just walked out of the classroom or walked out of the school without saying anything, which is not true, and that's caught on camera. I went to the front desk downstairs and told them I wasn't feeling well. So that's what they'll do. And I guess because, I was happy, I was staying by my dad, I was happy. I think I was like, I didn't have to like manage a classroom, like keep up with that, because substitute teaching, you just go in and you just go out, or you stay for like 1 or 2 days or 3 days and you're gone. So I didn't have to like do the work where you're upkeeping a classroom, and I get to choose the days, and it was so good. I enjoyed it. I mean, if they had like a substitute teaching career kind of thing going on for professionals, I would do it. And New York City has it's big, and so you have so many options, so many schools. If one school you feel uncomfortable working in, you can the next day find another school. And this time the jobs were rolling in, like, and so it was good. So like, whereas where I was in Florida and they shut down the school, which that's another tactic of them if they want your God-given spouse, take you out of a job, shut down the school for whatever reasons the wizards come up with and influence these people to do that, because they're against you and other people at the school, and happiness. Um, where I was working 2,200. So I think I would work that, about that and more, because they have holidays and stuff in New York City, and I get to pick and choose my days. So I was like, oh wow, this is good. I mean, I still had some bills and whatever, but if I had enough money to book my flight and book a hostel to stay in for about maybe a month in Hawaii, and I could put that away, that's like a big, that's a huge thing. to have that if I had money inside, just working for the New York City DOE, right? Substitute teaching. So one thing that they will do, and all I was doing was church homework, right, around that time, right? And I would go home, tell my dad about some things, funny things the children would say, and sometimes cook food, clean up the house, just little, those little things. Those wizards would hear, don't want that, right? And they want this Simona to be winning. So they'll cause you to lose your God-given job. Okay? So they lied on me, right? So then I had to come back down to Florida, and then they did some things like, behind the scenes, these are spirits with these wicked wizards, and in the vessels of people, right? They have the devices and they operate remotely in the people. So one of the things that would happen, and God would just allow certain things to happen for a reason. Unjustly arrest you. They'll unjustly arrest you. They'll want to put you in jail. They'll do a projection, and I talk about this like via their devices. They project an image, and they study the eye and how it operates and everything. And so they'll project an image that, I guess, if you weren't a person that sucked penis, they want you to now see it as it's nothing, according to the man within this projected vision or dream. And they want you to suck penis, more than likely because somebody sucked your husband's penis, or somebody sucked my God-given husband's penis. And so they want me to be like, they want things, the carnal and the spiritual to be same. So they'll try to do that, right, via their devices. Though, although they know I'm not about that life, right? I mean, to put a penis in your mouth, it means Satan wants to choke you. He came up with that idea. The man actually needs a canal. That's why the vaginal canal, it's made that way, because that's what the penis, that length, that's what the penis would need, right? To a great degree, right? But anyway, and for them to feel pleasure, you try to put that in your throat, pretty much choking yourself. And husbands choking their wives, satanically inspired. So Satan is behind that. What else they would do? Take you out of children's ministry, right? Because there was this in 2011. The whole gist of this person talking to me. This is about 5 years before I met my God-given spouse. And I mentioned to him, hey, if you're interested in going in this direction, then, you got to do some things, or we have to separate, because people are getting this impression. And then I asked him about this female that came with him once to the church, if he was talking to her or whatever, and he lied about it. And twice I went to him, and basically, it's not until things really got bad and the wizards caused certain things to happen and for things to get bigger than what it is. It felt like it was out of my control. And then while I'm now kicked out of my mom's house because I was defending him, on my way to another person's house, that's when he confesses that he was sleeping with this female, and got her pregnant at some point. So basically, I mean, I don't hate him. I don't need closure concerning him. Um, it's a sad thing that happened, but he was being a bit two-faced with me, and I kind of picked up that about him to some degree. And then one of the things that he did, I heard he married the girl, and that's good. I'm not against that. You married the girl. I mean, you were with her pretty much on a marital level anyway. But because of what he did, right, and how things happen, and then what the wizards wanted to say through a relative, that basically made me feel like I listened to what they had to say, and I didn't know it was wizards and wicked angels speaking on devices through her. So I resigned from everything. So God helped me to know that within another, like when they started to work actively on the devices, when they do that, you can't really sleep for like a couple days, 1 or 2 days. You're not sleeping well, and they just pretty much want you to be like this, kind of like a zombie, because they don't want you to be 100% there, or in your will, or alert or sober. They want you to be tired and fatigued and receive whatever it is they want you to do. And so at one point, something happened when I went to this congregation, but the individual didn't have adultery in his heart concerning me. I didn't have adultery in my heart concerning him. I double checked with God, or I checked with God. But what the wizards were operating on the devices, and they basically like inspired whatever because they want my head to be dishonored, right? They want people to think that I'm adulterous, and that's not the case. And so that's another way of dishonoring the head, because they want to take the peace of God from my head. They can't stand the pink thoughts or the peacefulness in my thoughts. So they want something to happen so that I won't have the peace of God. So they want to dishonor, God is my head. And so they want to dishonor my head, that, dishonor their head, which is, God helped me to know that. And then this literally dishonor my head by, saying, yabbering and trying to label and insult me. Um, um, and so one of the things the scriptures God led me to was suffer the little children to come unto me. So I understood from that, like, oh, they carry on like this because they don't want you to be in ministry with the children. So basically, they don't want the children to basically have the knowledge that you have, right? So they'll lie, right? And during that same weekend or time frame, a neighbor within the neighborhood, he basically worked in education, and all of a sudden some child is accusing him of like lewd touching or something inappropriate touching. So basically it's like they're taking him out of his job. So um, something along those lines, right? Would start doing stuff like that. Basically the children can't have a good teacher or good facilitator of education, and Satan doesn't want you to be in ministry. So that's one of his tactics, to do all of that, lie on you, or try to make you look like something that's not going on, but they want it to look like it's something. And that's one of the things that they'll do. Like, um, for example, I did Happy Birthday Jesus for Christmas for these little children, and it's engaging, and the children would love it, but they will try to influence Pastor Francis to question it, like, Happy Birthday Jesus, but she doesn't understand. It's age appropriate. I studied early childhood education, and I even checked with God if it was okay to do that, and he let me know that it was fine. I was doing good. Um, so that's the type of stuff they'll start to do. And then another thing they'll start to do, like the woman that basically, um, Simona, like Pastor Francis wanted her, like sometime I believe in January 2017, to start working with me, or for me to give her information concerning what I would do with the children in Sunday school. Now, this is someone who pelted me with game pieces, and I brought it before the Lord within recent years, like how God felt about it. And I'm led to 1 Peter 4, verse 14. So basically, I was reproached because I was doing good. And she did this pelting, in front of the children, in front of the brethren. And I guess, I don't know what went on in her head, but I wasn't talking to Christopher Delgado at that time. And, either way, at that time, we were a marital pair before God, but we weren't talking, especially because she came on the scene. Things started to go on a downward spiral. Um, and, um, and so basically, we got into this argument, and for about 1 to 2 weeks, we weren't talking in December of 2016. So, so this female comes on the scene, and this is the type of stuff that they'll start to do, right? And God helped me to know in John 10, when I saw God about this female, um, all that came before me were thieves and robbers. So now they'll come after your man, and then all of a sudden they want to be in ministry with you, like, pretty much. Things that they would do. Then they'll shut down your job, right? In 2017, the school shut down for unnecessary reasons under Attorney General Pam Bondi, right? It didn't have to go that far. Um, And so basically they'll do everything to get you out of the city or get you away from your God-given spouse. um, uh, Witchcraft, like before I could get to Orlando, they start working witchcraft for me to believe. They want me to receive lying spirits. They start working witchcraft. They'll mess with your sleep about 1 to 2 days before. Basically, they don't want you. Well, they don't want me to believe that Christopher Delgado is my God-given spouse by the time I hit Orlando. So that's their way of keeping their goods in place. Um, Doing that, pardon me, before I get there. It's not even like I'm going to see him when I get there, but the fact that I'm just entering into the city, that, and they don't want me to enter with the mindset, I guess, especially because, some people are with wizards devices, eavesdropping devices, have certain access to your mindset on certain things. So that's what they'll do to you. And they did that twice to me so far. And I think one occasion it was done, and pretty much to just prove that they do that, because the first time we actually went to Orlando and God pretty much intervened and helped me to know what they were doing, right, by leading me to Jeremiah. And Jeremiah was never left in a deception when it came to Hananiah and Shemaiah. But recently, like, someone, like this relative, wanted to visit someone in Orlando, and I'm like, yeah, we're not thinking about Christopher Delgado. I'm not thinking. And then it's not like I'm going to see him. Then they start working witchcraft before the Monday could come. They started to do whatever before the Monday could come. That's how you have the video to those who believe that Christopher Delgado is not my God-given spouse. That's why I posted that, because I got upset. Like, I know he is, and this is what these people are doing, and this is what they believe, and these wizards can be very loud. Like, they want you to believe them. So witchcraft, they start working that. What else? Brawler. They'll, like, you go step out to certain places, and they'll want to provoke you to anger. Like, even with the neighbors too in the backyard who are pro Simone or pro me being in jail, they'll do their witchcraft or say certain things they're not supposed to say, and they know that I can hear it, and they can hear that I can hear it, and basically they want me to, get on their property or go after them, and then they'll call the cops on me, and then the cops will either break a act or put me in jail. That's another tactic that they're about. So they want you to be a brawler. Like, you go out and they're saying, like, whatever the blasphemous angel wants them to say to you, like labeling you, because they're not with you, they're with whatever spirit or whatever belief they have. So or wicked angel. So they'll say things like hoe, bitch, slut, and all sorts of nigga or stuff like that. So they want you to be a brawler. And so I would just use a scripture that God would give me when I would question, or, I would get to a point, because there's this soft way about me, and I would go to God and I question, God, am I a whore? And he would lead me to a scripture that helps me to know, no, I'm not. And I would use that scripture to speak against them when they say certain things. So that's what I would say. They want you to be poor, right? Pretty much they want you to be poor. They want you to be a have-not. Because if you have money, then you can possibly fly around and visit certain places, fellowship with certain brethren, and be happy. And be, the brethren could be refreshed. And God helped me to understand they don't want that. They don't want joy. They don't want you to have joy in the Lord. So they want you to be poor. Another thing, what else they want you to do? What else they'll try to Baker act you. Also, oh, Like one deputy, while I was in the county jail, like basically gave this contaminated toilet tissue to me, and he had gloves on. But you know, like you're in when you're in jail unjustly, your mind is and like and it's so long of a period of time, and you just want to get out, and you're not really like 100% alert. So you just think, oh, well, I just thought, well, it's just probably water that got on it, and just try to work with it, kind of thing. No, they put bacteria on toilet tissue, and basically they want to mess up your vagina. So your vagina is clean, my vagina is clean, and basically I don't know what happened with Christopher Delgado and Simona or whatever it is. If it's either that she had something, or some female had something while being with him, or they just don't want me to go back to him. That's another strategy that they would do. But one of the things that I could testify is that they that in 2020